Opposition parties in South Korea have begun impeachment proceedings against the president after he briefly imposed martial law, which effectively means military rule. Yoon Suk Yeol was forced to lift it just hours later, though, after resistance from lawmakers who unanimously voted to reject his decision. Thousands of protesters have joined a candlelight vigil outside the parliament in Seoul before starting a march against the president. They are also demanding Yoon's resignation. We can get the view from Seoul now by speaking to Jun-ha Park, a correspondent at Korea Pro. That's the South Korean news analysis website. Thanks so much for joining us. After what happened yesterday, how likely is it that the president will now be impeached?
Well, there's a lot of fury on the ground. Thanks for having me. There's a lot of fury on the ground from lawmakers, from the public, on what the decision of President Yoon was to make sure that he declares martial law at 10:30 p.m. last night. It's still up in the air as to what he's actually planned out. The PPP, the People Power Party, the ruling power party, and also the Prime Minister and the Chief of Staff all three have met inside the presidential office with President Yoon. The Defense Minister has tendered his resignation, as have the full cabinet of the South Korean cabinet as well. And it's quite certain that the South Korean president right now, there is quite a lot of momentum that he will be impeached very soon. The impeachment bill, as I have heard from my sources, is that it has been submitted into the National Assembly. It will be reported to the National Assembly tomorrow morning, and they will hold a plenary session within 24 hours.
These are obviously extraordinary circumstances. I mean, South Korean citizens haven't seen martial law declared in more than 4 decades. Can you walk us through what this has been like for the people of South Korea? How have they been experiencing the past hours?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was just at the protest just now, a candlelight vigil just outside our office here in Gwanghwamun in the city center. And there's a lot of anger that is directed at the president and the presidential office for the decision to impose martial law on the citizens and the National Assembly yesterday. The citizens that I spoke to clearly stated that it was a breach on their basic human rights, their democracy. They were quite angered, but also very sad and sentimental as well, seeing, as you just mentioned, that it's been 40 plus years since a democratic ruler has declared martial law against the citizens of the Republic of Korea, the lawmakers that the citizens have voted in through a democratic election. And it's something I think we can understand that martial law in our modern history has ascertained itself as a kind of historical trauma. We've seen how martial law was imposed throughout the entire South Korean region when the Gwangju protests were going on in May 1980. Hundreds were killed in the city of Gwangju during a military crackdown during the martial law period. And I think that is quite a rugged source of the historical trauma that is currently going around, well, not worldwide, but nationwide.
If we could have a look at the reasons that he used to justify this, the president seemed to blame an anti-state plot when he declared martial law. He accused the main opposition parties of supporting North Korea. Is there any truth to that?
Well, quite frankly, no. The opposition party, the reasons that he declared in his speech just yesterday when he was declaring the martial law, and the reasoning that he gave was that it was for the budget constraints that were going on in the National Assembly. The president has cited that the opposition party has held the government's responsibilities or national responsibilities to a halt with the budget constraints that are going on. He has accused them of impeaching prosecutors, the state auditors as well, for political reasons, calling them pro-North Korean forces and imposing martial law is something that all of the experts that I've spoken to, as well as the general public, cannot understand.
190 lawmakers, including several from the ruling People Power Party, voted unanimously, didn't they, to nullify this martial law declaration. What does that say? I mean, does that suggest that, you know, this, what is essentially a display of unity, does that suggest that democracy is actually alive and well in South Korea?
Well, I think that, you know, while we saw both sides of democracy yesterday play out all throughout the night, throughout today morning as well, and the institutional democracy and the constitutional democracy that has been protected by the lawmakers and the citizens who are out in front of the National Assembly yesterday has been indeed protected. The lawmakers did come together. 17 ruling People Power Party lawmakers came together to join forces with the opposition party in nullifying the martial law that was imposed. Yoon was not quick to respond, however. He still has not apologized for the chaos that ensued in the National Assembly and also outside of the National Assembly. It is still something that is ongoing. However, we are in for quite a busy number of days.
Journalist Jun Ha Park, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.